name is Ted Rayborn, and this is my group's Verizon Wireless SWOT and TOWS analysis presentation, also presented to you by Mark Wilberg and Rich Clark. So to create our SWOT analysis, we used factors from the internal and external factor analysis to gauge internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as external opportunities and threats within the organization and outside of the organization that can have an effect on the whole health of the organization. So with strengths, we found that Verizon has a strong foundation of cultural diversity and largest fiber network, superior brand recognition, and impeccable research and development practices. Those are some of their main strengths. Within their weaknesses, though, they're really stagnated in their marketing practices. They haven't changed their marketing approach within 20 years. That is hurting growth and reaching new customers and bringing them into the company. They are also substantially more expensive than other competitors. This is key because with competing carriers catching up quickly to Verizon's market penetration, they also have lower costs. So the threat to Verizon are their competitors' lower costs because their plans are always substantially higher. Within opportunities in their external market, they absolutely have room to grow within the global infrastructure and communications upgrades. And they really should release a privatized Verizon device. They don't have one yet to compete with the iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy. They also have opportunities to improve their service coverage in rural America, where sometimes cell towers are as far as 40 to 50 miles away and provide substandard connection to those clients. Within their external threats, their potential private brand device would take many years, a lot of capital to develop by themselves. As a threat to themselves because they're not able to create their own device to compete with other very popular devices, but their own device would bring a lot of brand loyalty, so that is something they would want to try to focus on. Moving on to our TOWS matrix. This is a TOWS matrix. So I've outlined the TOWS matrix with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And on the internal grid, you see how you're able to leverage strengths to form a maximizing effort of strengths and opportunities, and a minimization of weaknesses to maximize opportunities, and then a maximize strengths to minimize threats, and a minimize weaknesses to minimize threats alternative strategies. Those four boxes labeled SO, ST, WO, and WT, those are all the alternative strategies that you can create from these different initiatives. So in main maximization of strengths and opportunities, some alternative strategies that Verizon Wireless could focus on is a joint effort of research and development with other manufacturers to create an exclusive device. And that joint effort would reduce cost in production, promote brand loyalty and competitive entry-level price. Increase in sales would allow for a lower entry-level plan cost, which also addresses main customer need and cost savings. Cell networks are not cheap. Another thing they can do to save money is to focus on research and development efforts towards reducing waste, like Nike did, greening their companies, like GE, and sourcing more efficiently priced materials that would allow Verizon to afford more funds toward building more towers in rural areas and not alienizing those customers. In the field of leveraging strengths to minimize threats, their focus on cultural diversity and corporate social responsibilities can be leveraged to connect with the needs of underdeveloped countries by providing apprenticeship programs to build up communities. This would enable them to get a foothold into those underdeveloped countries by also allowing these countries to enter into a new market they would not have otherwise obtained. In the alternative strategies of minimizing their weaknesses to maximize their opportunities, they can minimize market stagnation through developing their proprietary Verizon device through licensing deals and focusing on competitive plan rates to attract a greater customer demographic. This would diversify their clientele. This would bring new customers into the fold. This would create more competition between the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy. In doing so, they can also empower their retail staff through development programs geared towards obtaining higher positions and franchising rights potentially, as there are not a lot of development opportunities at the ground retail level, and this is seen as a jab at their morale. The alternative strategies of minimizing their weaknesses to minimize their threats, they can minimize cost to produce a Verizon device, would enable a product that would maximize new customers in an avenue reducing monthly subscription cost for a competitive edge to stay ahead of the competition. Verizon needs to figure out ways to stay ahead faster as their competition is catching up really quickly. And they could also engage strong community leaders in other countries to gain ground in building a foreign network, which would reduce the risk of government tampering, because the government would also see that these programs would build their country into a new market that they would not have otherwise obtained. So in conclusion, our SWOT analysis provides the framework by which alternative strategies may be constructed with the TOWS matrix by leveraging internal strengths to exploit external opportunities. Leveraging internal strengths then provides an easy view of the obstacles needed to be minimized for the strategy to come to fruition. With every good structure, you need a solid foundation. Without the external factors analysis and the internal factors analysis foundation, the SWOT analysis and TOWS matrix would be ineffective. They wouldn't even be complete. So all of these levels in external, internal factors analysis, SWOT, and TOWS are a circular process to stay ahead of changing demand in the marketplace through developing these alternative strategies, and then conducting the external and internal factors analysis again to see how you're sitting after the change has taken effect. As a main opportunity, Verizon's main focus really should be on their joint research and development efforts with an exclusive licensing deal that would provide Verizon with an exclusive device produced by a reputable manufacturer. Verizon could build in any features they wanted and utilize current R&D resources. The company of their choosing would then be able to produce the device with their current technology at wholesale prices. The effort would also provide a streamlined customer support effort for technical and service needs, all going through Verizon itself. And the added revenue from Verizon device provides baseline funding for expanding their international market, the model that would train indigenous people to run operations in their communities, building up those communities into a new market not otherwise obtained. And they would leverage their corporate social responsibilities and cultural diversity to build relationships with community leaders, which would provide insulation against government intervention, so it would show a plan of economic stimulation by expanding the country's industry potential. Here are my references. Thank you very much.